Welcome back to G-Brands. I'm Andy Rowe, and as usual, I'm joined by All Blacks legend Justin Marshall and Wallabies World Cup hero Jeremy Poole. How are you, lads?
Hang on. You've always said legend or player, but he's never been a hero.
He's wearing the green and gold today.
Yes, the gold.
He should be wearing a cape.
Canary yellow.
Being a hero.
Mate.
Have you ever been called a hero before?
Marshy,
I liked it, though.
you're sounding a bit salty.
Yes.
No.
What's wrong, mate?
What's
not at
wrong,
all,
buddy?
Not at all. I just
Hey,
think
open
that's...
up. Be emotional.
I think
Open up
that's
to the
just
group.
an over-the-top intro to calling somebody a hero. Like, to be fair, it actually is something that, when there's a bit of banter out on the rugby field, and the guy's been a real dick, and someone goes, "Oh, look at this hero." So I actually, you can keep hero.
No, that's like calling someone champ.
It is actually, yeah.
It's like calling someone
World
champ.
Cup champ.
World Cup. No, I'm fabulous, by the way. Yeah, I'm really
Good to see you, mate. You came across the ditch last night, and
couple of days off from the kids.
We're in Auckland at PodLab Studios. Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
thank you, PodLab. Thank you.
So you've made the trip across?
I did. Because, mate, we got to talk about Joseph Suaalii again, and he's my most favourite player.
But how pumped were you last week, mate? A couple of weeks ago, talking Wallabies, your Wallabies 15.
Yes. Well,
and then the finishers. I quite like that word.
You
Not
like that
reserves.
word? Yeah. Well, I like the 6-2 split, but I'm just really excited with how Rugby Australia is going, mate. Like, because, we didn't break even like New Zealand Rugby did, losing 19 million. I think we're losing 65 million. So,
Really?
No, they came out. I think it's up around just over 60 million. But
are they kind of paying it forward though? Because you've got what's coming up. You've got the lines coming up.
You've got some good deals that just been signed as well. Stan Sports.
Correct. We're going to lose 60 odd million, but after this Lions tour, we should be 30. They're predicting 30 million in the black. So that's a big turnaround, right? Like, look, sort of financially, and maybe if New Zealand Rugby agreed to an Anzac test next year, we could make more revenue. Maybe you guys might break even.
Yeah, well, this is right. It's
19.5 million. That was the talk.
It's worth continuing the debate, isn't it? Like, it's like what they say. Absolutely. The more you bang the drum, the more people are going to listen and get sick of it and start to ask why you are.
Well, 19.5 million is the number you just mentioned, just for those people that are listening that don't know what they're talking about.
New Zealand Rugby said, and I heard this, almost broke even. That was their comment.
New Zealand Rugby.
Yeah, almost broke even.
Mediocre, 19.5 million.
Are you saying 19.5 million is almost break even? Like, that's crazy.
When I'm reconciling, that's a little bit off.
Yeah, that's a little bit. You're thinking maybe $500,000 to $1 million, but when you're talking those numbers and you're turning down revenue, like the opportunity to make some really good revenue. And I understand in previous years probably wasn't as attractive playing the Wallabies with respects to a Bledisloe Cup game on Anzac Day, but I feel the last sort of 12 months to 2 years we've been super competitive, as well as I think we're going to be incredibly competitive this year after a Lions win. Like, if we win the Lions, I'm just assuming we're going to win.
Yeah.
Well, if we win the Lions, mate.
You win the Lions.
Once we win the Lions.
But that's the thing, though. you haven't done anything yet.
You
actually haven't done, and fans
correct.
aren't stupid. Like, to sell an Anzac test, and you're talking about the Wallabies being back. Like, you've got to do something. You haven't done anything.
No, correct. Look, I think the hype, they've obviously got to put, wins on the board, and they've got to win this British and Irish Lions for it to be even suggested that we play an Anzac test for a Bledisloe Cup game. But I just think from a revenue point, you'll sell it all day, every day.
I would argue with that. I feel that I do feel that the contest is unfair as it sits with 2 test matches, regardless.
Yes.
I don't.
Should go to 3.
If it's not Anzac test, who gives a fuck? It's got to be still another test.
Yes.
It's got to be a 3-test series.
Yeah,
honestly, it's so advantageous to the holder now because you just got to win one home game.
Yeah, correct.
That's all you got to do.
Yeah, correct.
And then it's really hard to wrestle it off. If you give it 3 test matches, then it makes it substantially more of a competitive contest in terms of trying to win the Bledisloe or retain it.
What's the argument for only keeping it at 2 test
They're
matches?
just talking.
I think it's scheduling.
Scheduling, yeah.
Scheduling's always been rugby's issue, right? Like, even talking about this USA coming in potentially with Super Rugby, scheduling is always going to be an issue. Like, and you look at rugby players and their calendars for an entire year. Like, they start Super Rugby earlier and earlier every year. I think it was like mid-February or something. And then their last game in the autumn tests over in Europe, you're looking at the end of November. So in terms of that regeneration of players and that being able to get into the gym and rejuvenate those bodies,
but it's where you've got to be creative. And the Anzac opportunity is perfect. It's like, righto, let's put it in a window where there's never been a test match before. It's not going to impact on the scheduling once July starts and that big international window opens. So we stick it on Anzac Day, which has obviously already been this year. Would have been great for the Wallabies to have a test match prior to the Lions coming, because they only got Fiji to warm up against.
Yes.
And it would have been an opportunity for the New Zealand Rugby Union, as you well mentioned,
revenue,
needing some revenue. It all fits and all works. It's just about people being ambitious enough to go, you know what, this is out of the norm.
Yes.
But who gives a shit? Let's ask our players to do something different. If I was still playing, and halfway through Super Rugby they said you're going to have 2 weeks off, and all the teams will be affected in Australia and New Zealand.
Yes.
To prep for an Anzac Test match in Australia or in New Zealand, full stadium. That obviously that nostalgic Anzac component to it. Anzac brothers, but then we're playing for the Bledisloe, first Bledisloe test of the year.
Mate,
it'd be awesome.
I think as a player, man,
I'm pumped now.
I got tingles. I did, but as a player, you would love to play that game, mate. Like, it would be incredible, a huge honour. Like, I did play a couple of Super Rugby games on that sort of Anzac weekend and on Anzac Day, and that in itself was special. But to play a test match, Bledisloe Cup game, would be extraordinary as a player. And I think everyone would understand too, we're shutting down sort of Super Rugby. There's your buys, potentially. There's your buys, potentially. Like, if they can make it work, I think from a revenue point of view, though, everyone agrees that it's a wonderful occasion, et cetera, but I think revenue, let's just talk money, for both unions. Mate, we're losing money, both unions.
Imagine how easy it would be to market it as well, because we don't hear the stories of the Anzacs that played for the All Blacks in Australia and went over and fought in the wars. We don't hear those stories. We've never heard those stories. We know about Dave Gallagher, but this is an opportunity to tell those stories.
Let me tell you
here we go. I've heard this story before. It's really good.
Look, when we beat South Africa 49-0 in Brisbane, like the highest ever record score for us, 49-0. Before the game, we had 3 of the oldest Wallabies come and talk to us, and one of them was a veteran, army veteran. He was in World War II, right, where he got shot down in a plane 3 times. 3 times he got shot down, and he escaped as a prisoner of war 3 times. 3 times. And we were all like, holy shit. Like, and he goes, like, playing footy, you're just not scared. Because, war's just, war, you're really scared.
He could have died 3 times.
In a plane, and then he got captured as a POW and escaped as a prisoner of war 3 times. And we just went out and went, rah, like this one, and we were just, like, mentally 49-0, man, we smacked.
But how brave, though.
The box.
At the end of the day, you've been shot down, so probably should have died in a plane crash.
The first time.
And then you survive, and you get...
Does it again?
Like you get captured.
You get captured.
Yes.
You come out, and you think, okay, I might go fly again.
Send me out again. Send me out there again.
Oh, no, mate, and that was the inspiring thing for us, right? Like, where we were just like... because he obviously had played for the Wallabies before he went to war. And we actually were lucky enough to have another ex-Wallaby who said he played before the war and then played after the war when he was up in Darwin. He was one of the, nicknamed them the Chocolate Soldiers. And they were up in Darwin defending, the top of Australia. And he said when he played, he was really quite scared. But then after the war, he came back. I think he played one test, and he said he just wasn't scared. Like, it was nothing in comparison. No bullets.
Hey,
so, look, with all that sort of nostalgia and all that stuff around the Anzac, but look, from a business point of view, man, like revenue, as well as opening up to 3 tests, I would just love to see and I also thought New Zealand rugby was awesome by allowing New Zealand players to play in this Anzac game too, against the British and Irish Lions. Like, we can actually have this, mate. There's a game I don't think the British and Irish Lions will win that.
Hey,
like, if they pick right,
I think that's before the first test, isn't it?
What a hit out for them.
Yeah.
But also too, a showpiece. Like, it's another sort of trial run, right, for those All Black players that are on the fringe, as well as those Wallaby players, because that's the great thing about the British and Irish Lions tour is a guy called Martin Corrie. Do you remember Martin Corrie?
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't even in the squad. Mate, he wasn't even in the squad. Got picked up because there was an injury. He was one of the only players in my era in 2001 that played every game. He played so well in those lead-up games. He forced himself into the side.
Yeah.
So here are these lead-up games are so important, not only for potentially Australian players playing in this Anzac game, but also all.
Well, it taps back into the Anzac theme as well, doesn't it? Again, it's an opportunity to show that it actually is a significant thing between Australia and New Zealand, the Anzac component, and to actually have a team. How good that would have been when we were playing, Would have been amazing to be an All Black and combine with the Wallabies players and, go out and play, and then I could basically have played my 60 minutes and George Gregan could have come off the bench. And,
I love that.
Marshy.
But
I love that.
But the other side
Kevy
of it,
behind me.
exactly.
Sure.
The super, all the super guys. They you talk to all the teams leading into Anzac weekend. They all theme about Anzac.
Yep.
About parts or components of the war, about rugby players that are involved in the war, but just the significance of what the sacrifice was.
Yeah.
So every team will theme about it. So why don't they just tap into the fact rugby now is very, very much orientated towards Anzac Day and recognises it for what it was and what the New Zealand and Australian Corps did over there.
Yeah.
Why not go to the next level and make it a team?
Let's talk about the Lions squad that's just been named.
Yeah. Wow.
Should we start with Itoji as captain? Did you see that coming?
Amazing. No, I think, like I said on the pod last year, right, before they went on the autumn test, I said, if Itoji is captain, when he's captain, England play better. Because he's one of those players that leads from the front. Like, I believe you got 2 types of captains. Those guys that play and they lead by the front, like they're always in the game and they lead with their actions. And then you have those players that are very intelligent, like they understand the game, the ebbs and flows, like do we take points, do we kick for the corner, like those real big decisions, right? And then you get players that are both, like that lead by example and are super intelligent. Like the Gregans for me, John Eales was like that, like, their actions as well as their intelligence.
Two friends of the pod.
Well, look, I just think like Itoji he's everything there, man. And listening to Andy Farrell and him talking about him as well, how he gets people up. He's that type of personality that people gravitate to. I think extraordinary choice. Great choice.
There's one obvious, though, glaringly obvious to me. And I don't know whether many people think about it, but it's the first thing I think about, is when you name a captain, that captain has to be playing.
Yeah, you're first selected.
Otherwise, you've all of a sudden got to throw a spanner in the works and go, righto.
Yeah. First selected, yes.
Unfortunately, the captain's not playing. He's kind of out of form.
That's why you're captain, right? Because he's first selected.
Yeah, so what they've got to do is that when Andy Farrell is picking this side with his other coaches and selectors, he'll go through and he'll go, righto, these are going to be, they named 36, didn't they? Which I thought was a bit light. 38,
I think it was 21 forwards and 17 backs.
Yeah, okay. 38. And
a few spots left open, I think.
Oh, yeah, yes, for 41
I think they can have up to 42, I think.
Okay. But anyway, you look at it and you go, well righto, who are the guys that are going to be most likely starting the first test? And they will have an idea of what their first test side looks like already. Like they will know that.
First test or first game?
First test. First test. They will know the players that they want to build their game plan around for the first 3 or 4 matches, get themselves set for the first test. Like, unless these guys incredibly play their way out of the team, Andy Farrell will know the player, your Gibson Park, your Bundy Arkeys, players like that. The kind of players that they're going to revolve their game plan around will be a part of it, and Itoji will be one of them. So that's the first thing you got to do when you pick your tour captain. And he is quite clearly one of the best locks in the world. So
I love it.
To me, that wasn't a surprise because I was thinking, well, who else? And some of the other guys, like I've mentioned, Gibson Park, they don't captain sides. So you've got to kind of a guy that's shown leadership before had to captain the side and had to command a spot in the test team, and he does that.
I think Gibson Park is definitely the leading 9.
Yeah.
But you're right, going across all the different positions. Yeah, there's not a lot of standout saying you're definitely starting, right? Like, because there's so much contentious positions here, like 10.
It's about how much influence
the centres,
he has, though,
the wingers, the fullbacks, actually the whole back row, even the front rows, man. Like, looking at that, like, no clear side sticks out for me at the moment.
Does for me.
Yeah, does it?
Yeah, it does.
Right.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear it.
Hit us with some positions.
Yeah. Why don't we go fullback? Mate, tell us, fullback. Run through it. Let's go positional.
Oh, we can't go right through it because we'll be here all day.
No, very quickly. Because you're just going to know.
Well, that's the one. That's the one that's not as obvious for me. So that's a tough one to pick on.
Well, I think Marcus Smith has also been picked as a fullback as well because he lost his spot in the England side.
What do you think about that, mate?
Smith.
You know, I think Blair Kinghorn will start.
I
know you love him. Oh my God,
he's a great player.
You're all over Kinghorn, aren't you?
He's a good player, man. He's been playing well.
Keenan's been good too, though, for Ireland as well. But I think Marcus Smith, man, is also going to be looked at as fullback. Like he lost his spot. He was pretty good at fullback.
He'd be handy to have on the bench, Marcus Smith, won't he?
Well, I think he'll probably come off the bench. And it'll just be Kinghorn.
All right, we'll go Kinghorn
or Keenan or Keenan.
Okay,
so
wingers.
Well, Fundamerva.
You think Fundamerva?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
That Tommy Freeman, I suppose the Northampton Saints players, right, get that extra game to be able to, like, solidify potentially a little bit of doubt. And Andy Farrell's, anyone that's still currently playing in big games, like Tommy Freeman for Northampton Saints, mate, he's been electric in the last couple of games. So, okay. Yep,
we can't go through the whole team because this is going to take forever.
Oh, really? You think? Mate, we were ready on the wingers.
Mate, I know you've written down your starting 15 for every game of the tour. But
I just love, man. I think it's good chat. Like, I think
I just feel that, like, he will know. Like, it's like when Warren Gatland coached the Lions. Like he had a Welsh component of players,
a stronger Welsh team.
Yeah, that he knew how he wanted to play, how they would fit into the mix. Now, Andy Farrell, who's coached Ireland for the last 4 years, 5 years, he will know how he wants to manipulate those players into the way that he wants this team to play. Now, it won't be exactly like the way Ireland play because Ireland have been on a bit of a downward slide, I think, trending in the last couple of years. They're not as heavyweight as what they were when he had them.
And no Caelan Doris.
And including in the World Cup. But he'll know elements of that team that he coached that he will inject in there. He obviously coached England as well. So you got Van der Fleer, and then you've also got Curry. So he'll be having to make a decision
Pollock,
there, and
Henry
Pollock. Yeah, so he'll be having to make decisions like that. But he'll also know the DNA and nucleus of how he wants this team to play, and that will be his Irish and English players that he knows the best. And then it's when the Fundamervas, Kinghorn, and all that they all fit in, to that. And then the key one is, for me, when you look at the Lions coming, there'll be a lot of debate about certain positions, but none more so than that 10 jersey.
Yeah.
Because that'll indicate the way they're going to play.
No, I think 10, 12, 13, right? Like, because when you look at the centres they've chosen 2 Irish, two Scottish.
Yeah, but the two blockbusters, Tuipolotu and Bundy
I know,
Aki.
but they're the same position, right? 12s.
Yeah, that's right.
But then you've got Ringrose and Hugh Jones, right? So I think one of the things about this British and Irish Lions side, which is the hardest thing for them, is combinations and cohesion, right? Like, so it's being able to pull this side. I think professionalism has taken out like the old hatred back in the old days, like, you know, like Scottish and English and Irish and English, or everyone hating the English. But I think now that, because they all pretty much play with each other across all that, you know, across Europe. Yeah. So, you know, that sort of professionalism coming in, I think they'll gel pretty quickly. And Andy Farrell's really big on that. But I think they'll go with combo. So if you go with Tuipolotu, I think you're going to go with Hugh Jones, like at 13. Or if you go Bundy Aki, you're going to go Ringrose. I can't see him, and I think we'll see that throughout the whole side. Like, so it's those combinations where they've played together for long periods of time.
Can I ask then, on going on the Andy Farrell moulding this team, like as in how he kind of mould, like the Irish theme kind of thing, who starts at 10 fitting in with that theme, like as if you're trying to get that?
Well, that's the enigma in that mix is Finn Russell, really.
Because he doesn't exactly fit that mould, right?
No, he doesn't. No.
Well, he does if they go Tuipolotu and Hugh Jones, so 10, 12, 13.
They won't do that. There's no way they will go 3 Scottish players.
So talk us through
10, 12, 13. No way. I can guarantee I will buy you 20 beers if they do that in that first test.
You heard it here.
Yeah, there's no way they would.
I'm talking about combos, mate. Like,
I can.
So if they go Finn,
I could see them going Finn Russell and Bundy Aki, no problem. As because you've got, and then Jamison Gibson Park and Bundy Aki work together.
I think
and
Gibson
often
Park
when you're having striker plays, 9 will just go straight to 12.
Yeah.
And 10 will just loop around the back, and it's whether you hit them or not. So you've still got a combination of sorts in there, you know. I just look at the other ones that they've got at 10, and you know, Smith and both Smith, you know, so
Finn Smith, Marcus
Smith and Finn Smith. So it's like, well, man, these guys have played no real massive big time. Like Marcus Smith has, but Finn Smith hasn't. And you know what the other component about leaving Farrell out is? Owen Farrell.
Yeah.
One goal kicker, really reliable one.
Yeah, and
that's Finn Russell.
Oh, mate, it's because we saw, like we saw on the weekend, right? Like the Chiefs against the Crusaders actually take points. Oh my God, a team taking points.
Yeah.
In Test match rugby, you're always taking the points unless you got this feeling that comes back to the captain, right? Going, okay, let's go for the corner.
So that's why they said about leaving Prendergast out, because he's actually a bloody good goal kicker. But Marcus Smith and Finn Smith are a bit erratic. So and bloody. Finn Russell, he kicks really, really well when he's playing for Racing or Bath, as he currently is. But for Scotland, he can be slightly more erratic, and the stats show that. So it's like, and that's why people are saying Prendergast, because he's a good goal kicker. So if Finn Russell doesn't start, they don't go in with 2 seasoned like a Johnny Wilkinson. It's like, righto, anything within 45 metres. He's banging that thing over 90% of the time, you know.
Oh no, but it also as a team, you were like no penalties, penalties,
100%
no
you were,
penalties. Like that 50 metre, like you were over disciplined, I suppose, like over communicating about that penalty and that range, man. That 45 metres in, it was 3 points every time, right? Like, so that goal kicking. But look, Marcus Smith being moved back to 15 during the autumn test, like towards the end where Finn Smith came in. Man, I think they have to go Russell at 10. I think Gibson Park is definitely the best 9. Yeah. I think the way he controls the game, I think he's an older head. I think he'll definitely be 9, but I think with Finn Russell they'll go 10, 12, 13 combo. That's just how I sort of see it. Like
Owen Farrell's on the wait list.
Well, they've got 4 extra spots, I believe.
Are we going to see him?
You will see him, I reckon.
Well, injuries, mate. There's going to be potentially some injuries.
Mate, there could be. They've got to play Argentina in Ireland. Yeah. As a warm-up.
Yeah.
And then they've got, obviously, their midweek games plus their...
they've got the force. The force is the first... Is the very first game.
There's always injuries.
Always.
And,
always.
I think it's probably quite a clever strategic move from Andy Farrell. you know, because of the pressure that was around it. Is he going to select his son? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's like, righto, I won't select him in the first 38.
Yeah.
I will have him as a kind of standby.
I'll just leave the door
know
open.
when I'm going to bring him. It's a classic Rusty Erasmus, isn't it?
It really is, Rusty.
I'm not going to pick Pollard. And then next minute, there's somebody's mysteriously injured, and in comes Pollard.
Well, let's
talk
about
the winning goal at the frickin' Rugby World Cup final.
Let's talk about the forwards, right? Like, I mean, I think the luckiest man is that Jack Morgan. Like Wales, what did they lose? 14, 15 straight. Like, lucky to have two players in this British and Irish line side.
So what are they looking at to pick him?
Well, I don't even know if he'll get. I like that Jack Conan. Look, the 7 Ben Earl. Wow, explosive, small though. Like that, I don't think they've got as big a back row as what they've always had in the past. Like,
well, Doris being missing is massive.
Yeah, it's huge, isn't it?
And Doris, I think Andy Farrell would have been relying on him, his experience, his ball carry, his competitiveness, and he's tough, you know. So he's kind of opened up the door, because as you do with, you're talking about combos, loose forward trio, you pick them to work together for their various
it's the balance,
strengths.
Right? Yeah, it's the balance.
And you know, so if you pick, say, for example, Fraser McWright,
world's best 7.
Yeah,
world's
but he plays a
best
particular
7.
way. So for me, if they pick Fraser McWright, they have to pick Valentini, because Fraser McWright doesn't carry as aggressively as Valentini.
They need a ball player. Why Harry Wilson is a good balance, right?
He's a good example. They've got to pick one of those two because of the way McWright plays. So the lines have got to be the same. Now Doris is missing. And Van der Fleer plays slightly different than Curry. Curry's over the ball more. He's closer to the rucks. Van der Fleer moves a bit more, and he still gets over the ball, but he plays second receiver a bit more than Curry does.
Correct.
So they're going to have to work all that out now that Doris is missing. He leaves a bit of a hole.
Let's not forget about line-out options as well.
True.
Like, you need that, and that's why Bobby Valentini is a good balance in the Wallaby back row, right? Because we've got, and Wilson can get up, but they'll chuck him at the front, right? So you need that balance not only in your own line-out, but also 2 defensive line-outs as well. So when I look at this, like, if you're going to play a player like Ben Earl, right? Like, and then you have a Tom Curry there as well, like 2 shorter. You're going to have that taller number 8, like or 6, depending on if Ben Earl plays 8. And then you've got this Henry Pollock. Like, wow.
Yeah, can we talk about Henry Pollock? Because it seems like the British press do a phenomenal job of hyping up their players. We've seen it over the years. Itoji, we've seen Marcus Smith. They get very excited about their players, and rightly or wrongly, depending on how well they go. Those 2 examples have gone pretty well. But Henry Pollock, it seems like there's mass hysteria around this guy. Is it warranted? Are we going to even see him in the lines?
Absolutely, it's warranted. Like, when you see a talent like this, like, I was incredibly fortunate to play with George Smith, right? Like yourself with Richard McCaw. And as young kids, when they came through, George Smith was 18, going on 19 when he played his first game. And to see how remarkably mature he was, how good he read the game, my God. Like, he was in positions he should never have been. And I think that's what we're seeing with this young Pollock kid, right? Is that try he scored. He's obviously got incredible pace. He hits the line in the physicality side of things into contact exceptionally well. And he gets over the ball. So, look, those sort of players, like, they're enigma, right? Like, where you go, you don't know which way they're going to go at that age. Will we see him start in an actual test match? Depends on how he goes, man, in those lead-up games. He could be... no, I can't. I can't call it on him because he's too unknown.
But you call it on everything.
I can't with him because I don't know it with him. Like, Sua'ali'i called it very early because I've watched him play for the last 3 years.
And you got a man
and he's
crush
21. Oh, 100%.
You love him.
Of course I do. Because, mate, let's see where this kid is in 3 to 4 years. But Henry Pollock, like, what he's done is he's got himself into exceptional form, got himself a test match, and then with Northampton Saints, my God, like they try again, as well as the game he played in that semi-final. You're talking about the challenge, like you're talking about the biggest game in Europe at the moment. So depending on how he goes in this final, I think I've got to just see a little more.
Yeah, he's changing.
But he's a talent.
Yeah, he's changing the demographic of the way a traditional Lucy would play in his jersey, you know, and he's doing things out there that others aren't doing. And a lot of people see that sometimes as being obviously a player that not a lot of other players know about. So you're doing things out there that they're not aware of, and then they become aware of them and they don't work. But he seems to be doing it consistently. And he's doing special things, you know. He's obviously quick, powerful, got a real eye for being in the right place at the right time.
Chip kick, all that sort of shit.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like,
so, you know, and, you know, in a big test match, you know, against the Wallabies, are you going to do a chip kick over the top or through the line?
No, but that's what youth does, though.
That's right.
That's what youth does,
yes.
right?
But when it's for Northampton, it's fine, you know.
Yeah. Yes.
To a degree, when it's for England, it's okay. But, you know, the British and Irish Lions in a series
Very
decider.
good point.
What you would hate to do is for his confidence to be taken away because of the significance of the occasion, because all he's doing is playing rugby and playing what's in front of him. And I love that. That's instinct. That's what the game's all about. What we are sometimes now in the modern game is too robotic. Coaches are trying to coach you out of playing what's in front of you, which is what every kid does when they pick up a rugby ball. You know, if there's a defender not in a space where there's an opportunity to run, you run through the bloody hut.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter whether you were told you're supposed to pass it to old mate. So he's obviously playing really on instinct, and that's what I really like about watching him play. You know, but in a tough test series, you know, when you maybe got put into a situation where you do get a start or get an opportunity to go on, because he's green, and this is not his fault, it's just the nature of how old he is and how little amount of rugby he's played now. If I'm the Wallabies, I'll pick on him big time.
Oh, absolutely.
You chirp him, you get under his skin, you hold him down, you do things to him that he's never experienced before, and you put him off his game.
But when you're picking your finishers, right, like your reserves, you, particularly if you're going that 5-3 split, like in terms of 5 forwards and 3 backs, like, or 6 forwards and 2 backs, right? It's that player that's going to actually change a game.
Quacker Smith.
Yeah, Quacker Smith, right? Like, so Rassie sort of sees it that a forward is going to change the game.
Yep.
Like, doesn't have the back that can come on and actually win the game for you. So I look at the same with the Wallabies and I go, well, someone like a Carlo Tizzano, right? Tizzano is a guy that is leading try scorer in Super Rugby. He's beefed up. He's also very hard on the ball. But if you're looking at any back in Australia that could come on, so it's between like Tizzano and any back. And I sort of look at the backs that we have, yes, some incredible talent, but I don't think they're going to make as big an impact as Tizzano on a game. So I then look at Henry Pollock and go, what about if this kid comes on with 20 to 30 minutes to go? Man, he could change the entire perception of the game.
He's going to change the trend.
Yeah.
And that's what a Quagga Smith does. He comes on and he plays completely different to all the other Lucies. To a degree, he plays completely different to any other Lucy in the world, maybe bar...
Well, he can play inside centre.
Ardie Savea. And that's why I've always said, like, geez, if we could actually get our head around the fact that Ardie Savea could come off the bench, you know...
You'll never...
I know, but
it's a good point,
because
Marshy.
he plays completely different to anyone else in the world, and so does Quagga Smith. He comes on and he just changes the way the game has been played by anyone in that jersey out of both sides, and it changes the picture for the defence. It's just like, and for the attack.
Yep.
All of a sudden he's doing things, he's out in the back line because he can run like a winger, he can play on the wing. And Pollard you get is very similar to that, and you know, if Andy Farrell wants to think about the fact that he may have to chase a test match, and that's what you've got to think of as a coach. You can't think about getting to the 60th minute and trying to win a test that you're already in the lead of or you're just behind of. Say you're behind by 12 points. Who the fuck am I going to bring on that's going to find those 12 points, 13 points to win this test match? You know, because it's not going to be more of the same, because more of the same has got us behind at this stage of the game.
Yes.
You know, so maybe he does come into the man. He's going to get his opportunities in the warm-up games. And I wonder if they think about that Argentinian game in Ireland.
That's
like
a
I said,
great lead-up.
they will have a fair idea of the majority of their test side for that first test. I know this for a fact. I know this because I was told that when we were playing the Lions in 2005.
It makes sense.
You know, the odd player's going to play himself out because of form, or there's going to be an injury. But in general, they'll have a fair idea what their side's going to be. And then they'll have their contingency plans of injuries or people out of form of okay, right, well, if he's not up to it, who's the next guy? I wonder if those guys get to play against Argentina just so they can go, righto, well, what we're thinking is they can step up and play a test match.
Can we talk about the rule changes? Can we talk about the law changes,
Well done.
rather?
Well done.
The Wallabies players have been playing under a different set of laws.
Yes, they have. So they've been playing under the current Super Rugby laws, and everybody's loved it. It's been a success. It's been
The competition speaks for itself,
yeah, exactly.
right?
So more time with ball and play, and that's statistically been backed up. Less time for players to milk the clock. 30 seconds for line-outs, a minute for scrums. Got to keep moving on. They're not stopping for injuries. Yep. The doctor comes on. They either take him off, or they'll just play through a player being on the ground.
Use the ball in the
ball
ruck.
and play a lot. Yep. So what you're getting is fatigued defenders.
Yep.
Because you're not getting the spells that you used to get, and the game is so much quicker.
Yep.
Whereas when we go back to the Lions Test series and the lead-up games, they will all be played under the old laws. So that will mean that there is no pressure on speeding the game up. You can walk to line-outs. A bloke can have a knee. You've got to stop for injuries because it could be a serious injury. Scrums are going to be a lot longer. So the game will be completely different for the Wallabies to what they've been used to for the last 5 months. Whereas the British and Irish Lions have been playing under the current laws in their domestic competitions.
And that means no red card for 20 minutes either, doesn't
it's
it?
a full red card.
So another Sam Cane.
Yeah, Sam Cane's Rugby World Cup situation.
Debacle of the game itself.
It's just why are World Rugby not listening? The governing body, everybody is saying.
It's one of the best
even
rules.
The coaches are saying.
Mate, do you know rugby league, right? Like the big talk in rugby league was how good rugby has it with the 20-minute rule of a red card.
Yeah.
Like they even look like they're looking at that because it just makes, because when Swahili got red carded in the first State of Origin game,
that was it.
The game was a debacle. So if you have that sort of 20 minutes and it's groundbreaking actually when you think about it, and it's incredibly smart because it's not just about the rules of the game, it's also the rules of the game is to help the spectacle and the entertainment value. Like the game itself is here we are on a world stage and we're about to this game is going to go worldwide, and we could have this old, decrepit, slowed down, boring version of a game. When in Super Rugby this year with these rules, I've watched more rugby this year than I have in over a decade.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been brilliant.
It's a better spectacle, isn't it? It's especially people will argue the red card rule. They'll argue that backwards and forwards with Northern Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere.
But why?
But I think the big positive as well is the speed of the game with the not going down on a knee, the referees hurrying people up to get to a line out, make the scrum happen.
Yes.
That piece there should be no argument. That should be standard across the game.
They should, and they will look at that. But the red card one, I don't see. Who's arguing it?
Well, you have people talking about head safety.
Yeah, but the way that head safety now is being so well looked after, to a degree, sometimes it's gone too far with the TMO and coming into the game at a regular basis. The players haven't ever been more protected, and nobody. I can categorically say nobody out there, particularly professional players, have any intention of attacking the head.
Correct.
They are not doing it. The ramifications of doing it are so severe. So anything that's happening is just a timing or an accidental collision where it's just been head-on-head contact. It's been no one's fault and it's happened. It's been really well governed. So what we've got to then do is protect the game. People are going to spend a shitload of money to come from the UK.
Shitload.
To come and watch this series. And if we get 2 red cards in the first 10 minutes of the first 2 test matches, and even the third heaven forbid, that reduces one team to 14 men because we can't get our head, excuse the pun, around the fact that we can penalise that player 20 minutes without playing, and the team's got to cope for 20 minutes, where the other team have a massive advantage, and then that player, if it stays red, is out of the game.
Yep.
And then he gets replaced, but he is out. So he has been punished, and then he will get punished afterwards. So if you're going to say, oh, it'll go unpunished, he'll be punished, team's been punished, but the game has only been punished for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Not 70, not 60, not 55. For fuck's sake.
Yeah, man.
Can't we just see common sense in this?
The World Cup rugby final, mate. There's your example, right? Like, gallant, very, very gallant effort by the All Blacks in that. But the game, the spectacle itself was gone. But when you also look at, like, the rule changes as well, like that speeding up, line-outs, particularly line-out scrums.
So good.
Like, so good, mate. Like, because, back in the day, it was just, like, quick. You were in and out, man, in, like, 20 to 30 seconds. But now, all of a sudden, this whole setup and, blah, blah, blah.
And what do you think about because obviously this is an area where you were so accurate. The line-out. If the opposition don't contest, it doesn't have to be straight.
I love that. I love that rule.
Yeah,
such a good rule because,
and it goes back to and it goes to free kick, even if it.
Mate, I love it, man. I love that rule because it's common sense. Like it's a common sense approach, right? Like because if you're game enough to go up, like particularly 5 meters outside your own line, and they don't throw it straight, like high five to you, right?
Yeah.
Like. Justin Harrison, hand of
absolutely.
God, right? Hand of God in 01. But
hand of Goog.
But these common sense laws have been instrumental in the change to Super Rugby this year. But that red card, yellow card thing, I think, is the biggest thing.
Why aren't they changing the rules then? Like who
knows?
Is there a conspiracy against the Wallabies?
I've shown some passion on this pod. But nothing like what you just asked me about that red card. It really irritates me. And I don't know why.
No,
I think they feel that what they are actually doing is protecting the game, whereas they're not. They're ruining the game. And as I said, what they need to do is sit every single professional rugby player in the world down and ask them, are you aware of the current regulations around head contact? Absolutely we are. And they need to know that every player is not going out there with any other intention than to make sure they're not putting in a headshot with a lazy shoulder or clumsiness or whatever. But it will happen because that's rugby. There's so much going on within the game. So it's not about... And then it's being looked after.
Do you think...
Look after the game.
But do you think also, too, the red card as well for fighting as well? Like, so if you get into a punch-up... Because, man, back in the old days, right... Especially the 01, like 01 was at the Tars and Rhino Gar. Duncan McRae, boom, boom, boom. Thank you. Not condoning any violence. But do you think it's also, too, the red card? Because if you do punch to the face, that's an instant red card, right? Like, so... Yeah. So do you think they're also keeping that non-20 minutes because of that action? It's not always a head high. It could be for
again, look, when's the last time you saw a fist fight in a test match?
Oh, no, never.
It doesn't happen because the players are aware that if they throw a punch, they'll be red carded.
They'll be red carded, correct, especially if you land them in the face.
Exactly.
Right?
So the players are aware, and anything that does happen that is slightly out of there, say there was to be a punch, and it's a 20-minute red card, and everyone goes, it should have been a full red card. At the end of the day, it's such an anomaly. Yeah. It just doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't.
And so if it happened, it's literally a unicorn moment. Like, for fuck's sake. Like, the guy's literally somehow had a brain explosion, throwing a punch, and they go, oh, well, the law's not right. He should have got, it shouldn't have been replaceable 20-minute red card. It's just not going to happen. Yeah. And if it does, it'll be so rare. It's not a part of our game that we really need to worry about because blokes just grab each other nowadays. Yeah. Other, wrestle each other around the shirt and guys, because everyone's too scared to throw a haymaker.
Oh, of course they are.
Like the one that I got Gerardo with. You remember that?
Look, we
split
don't
him too, didn't you? You split him as well.
Yeah.
We don't condone throwing punches and fighting on this podcast, but you have given me an idea. A new feature, potentially, called When Was the Last Time You Saw a Fight?
Yeah, well, we did talk about the, which generated a lot of chat about the Buck Shelford one, didn't we?
Yeah.
especially from the UK.
Oh, that was a good shot.
They got fired up about that, didn't they? Because we all thought, wow, what about that? You know, Buck Shelford lays the bloke out.
That was a good shot.
And the guy gets woken up and gets sent off for receiving a punch.
Mate, I've got one for you. I've always wanted to, like, actually explain this too. So Trevor Brennan. Remember Trevor Brennan? Like, Irish.
Yep.
Mate, have you read his book? Like, so his book, grew
Andy
up
doesn't
IRA.
read.
I can't read.
IRA, grew up with all that sort of stuff. Tough bloke. In the 99 game against Ireland in Dublin, pool game, he's written in his book when Toutai Kefu absolutely punched shit out of him. I'm talking like he's written in his book. The only reason why that happened was because David Wilson was holding one arm and Jeremy Paul was holding the other, which I absolutely, yes, I did do that. Because you knocked me the fuck out after half time. Like, so after... Mate, he does not remember this. Like, so the kickoff, right, in the second half, that's when Phil Kearns retired. Like, so he did his foot, snapped his foot or something, and I came on after 15 minutes. Mate, I'd been smacked in the face, so I had 4 stitches, my only 4 stitches in the front of my face in my entire rugby
You still
career.
look great.
I know, it's like, not the face, not the moneymaker. But it was like, I went off, got stick because there's no other hooker. Dan Crowley actually had to throw the ball on. Came on second half. They kick off. I turn around. I'm at the sort of like 10 metre mark. Turn around and then I'm out. I'm knocked out. And then watching the replay,
Didn't even see it coming.
No, because I'm turned to run towards the ball.
Yeah.
Who knocks me out? Trevor Brennan comes in and goes bang like this with an elbow. So we've all gone, fuck that Brennan, man. We're going to get him like this one.
Once you've been woken up?
Well, once I woke up, back in the day. I think the doctor came on and goes,
You're right.
Are you alive? Are you alive? Yeah, man, I'm alive. Yeah, sweet. So I'm playing, and I've got this, like, my face is all taped up from cut. And then he sort of said some bad stuff to Toutai Kefu, right? Like, so Toutai, we used to call him Kefi Umbaye, like, man, that guy could go. Like, and here's Kef going back, like, and so he's actually lucky I didn't start throwing them as well, because we all knew it was him, right? And he was dirty as hell in that game, man. We was so passionate, right? Like, and we all had a beer afterwards with his face that looked like he'd been stung by 50 wasps. But here's Toutai Kefu going bang, bang, bang. So to Trevor Brennan, who actually wrote in his book to say that I was holding his arm, fuck yes, I was holding your arm. You knocked me out, mate.
I love that. I love that.
This is a great new feature.
Yeah, mate, 15 minutes later, I stalked him. Don't worry, I got him. I wanted to give, mate. I was just saying, no, I'll just hold your arm. Toutai, bang, 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 bang.
Oh, my gosh. Well, great way to finish the pod.
Yeah.
Great way to finish the pod.
Yeah.
And thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for watching on YouTube or listening wherever you're listening. And we'll be back again next week.